Hello, this is Michael from Base Motoring, and if you want the ultimate practicality in a vehicle, a minivan is what you want. And that's why we have this 2019 Honda Odyssey EX. So in this video, I'm going to give some of my thoughts, some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like, and we're going to take it for a quick spin. So we bought this Honda Odyssey brand new back in December 2018, and we've owned it since, put about 77,000 miles on it, and it's treated us well so far. We admittedly don't often use it to its full potential, but there have been times where we've put 8 people in it, we've packed it full of stuff. One time we drove it with 5 people, 2 tubas, a week's worth of luggage, and it fit. And most other vehicles, apart from full-size SUVs or cargo vans, you can't really do that. So while we're back here, let's take a look at all this space you get. You can sit 5 people, look at all this space, and if you take out the second row, 4 foot by 8 foot, tons of space. Even if you don't need to put a ton of stuff in here, you can just toss stuff in, you don't have to Tetris it like you might in a smaller vehicle. Now another thing back here, this lift gate. I'm 5'8", and I've got about an inch of headroom. There have been plenty of times I've whacked my head on this, and it is not fun. Also back here, you've got lots of little cubbies on the side, battery jump box and stuff over here, another cubby here, some other odds and ends here, and the funnel for the capless fuel filler. Here in the third row area, plenty of cup holders, and you've got some air vents, but other than that, not much other than plenty of space. I can sit in the third row with the second row slid all the way back, no problem. Space for my knees, space for my head, space for my hips. But unlike higher trims, you don't have any of the audio controls or sunshades back here. No frills, but spacious. Coming around to the second row, I've spent a lot of time here. It's an alright enough second row. You got plenty of knee room, foot room, plenty of width, plenty of headroom. I'm not particularly tall, but my brother at over 6 foot, he can sit back here just fine. Unlike other vans like the Toyota Sienna, you can't slide the seats super far back, but you still get enough space, absolutely. And you got cup holders, more cup holders in the doors. Or if you want to carry a third person here, you can just slide on over, and I can at least fit here. I wouldn't love it, but I've got headroom. I've got enough space to put my feet without encroaching on the sides. You can also take it out if you want to slide the seats back and forth, which you can do in the Odyssey, or just make access easier to third row, even if you just want to keep people more separated without this bulky thing here. But we've always kept it in the vehicle. It's nice having the cup holders here and a little spot to put some stuff. Got climate control back here. I usually sit on this side, so it's always fun reaching way over here. You've got sunshades. Admittedly, we don't really use those, but for someone with small children or who like a little more privacy, or even if you want to just take a nap back here, those are definitely a nice thing to have. Of course, like all modern minivans, pretty much power sliding doors. Up here in the front, where presumably you'll spend most of your time if you have one of these. It has a pretty decent array of features for being second from the base model and being a 7.5-year-old van. Heated seats, CarPlay, Android Auto. You've got HD radio, which my parents use, but I personally stream music on my phone. We've got lots of places to put stuff. Cubbies, cup holders, more cubbies. Big place down here for a purse or other odds and ends. Hidey hole for stuff. Nice big glove box. Decent sized center console. Place to put your phone. More cup holders. Definitely no shortage of places to put your things in this vehicle. Even sunglasses. And if you want to keep an eye on your kids, because this does not have the fancy camera thing that higher trims do. Auto up-down windows, all 4 doors. We got the big Honda safety package, so we've got blind spot monitoring, automatic braking, radar cruise, lane keep assist. As long as you keep a hand on the wheel like this, just a little bit of pressure, it'll darn near drive for you on a road trip. Speaking of road tripping, you're going to want to listen to music on a long drive, and the radio in here, it'll get the job done for that. It's nothing amazing, but for your average person, you can bump along to some stuff and be like, yeah, I'm enjoying this, but it's not going to be deeply satisfying. Some stuff's going to come through a little harsh if you really crank it up. Although, one thing you do not want to do is turn the regular bass slider all the way up. Specifically, this bass slider, not the subwoofer. It pushes too much bass through these door speakers, and it distorts like crazy. I imagine if you put the volume at full and turn the bass all the way up, I imagine you'd blow a speaker. Even at volume 24 out of 40, which is what I did the sound system test at, yikes. Another thing with the second row, the way they recline is kind of funky. The axis they pivot on is almost where your lower back is, so when you recline the seat, the bottom bit almost kind of juts forward and makes it a little bit uncomfortable if you really want to lay back and relax. Whereas like the front seats here, the axis is more at butt level than hip or almost belly level. Like you can see where it is. Also the climate control in here, I'm a little old school. I like the manual dial controls. The automatic and temperature based climate in here does some funky things. Like if it's really cold out, I bump it at low, it's icing me out. I bump it up 1 to 58 degrees and then I'm being blasted with warm air. I just want something where if I'm cold, I give myself a little more warm. If I'm too warm, give myself a little more cold. Also, why do we need to have this in the screen? I don't want to go into the screen if I want to adjust where the air is coming out. I don't want to go in the screen to adjust the rear climate. What this button should do, change these, so instead of adjusting the front, you can adjust the rear temperature from one of these buttons. I think that's it for static. Let's drive our new little loop. So this is no handling course, but we'll take these corners a mile or two above the speed limit and see how this van handles. Not bad for a 4,600 pound whale. I have heard that the Honda vehicles tend to handle a little bit better than a lot of the competition. And despite the super light electric steering in this car, it'll still take a corner. And speaking of performance, this thing's got some pep. Now, this is not to say this is a fast car, but for a minivan, it gets up and goes. One time I was doing about 30 miles an hour, admittedly in the rain. I stepped on it and traction control went crazy. And then when you're not accelerating hard, it cruises nice and low revs. In a couple miles, we'll be doing closer to highway speeds, and you'll see it'll be at 1,500, 1,1800 RPM. Even at 80 miles an hour, you're barely at 2,000 RPM, which that means you don't hear the engine screaming away. My personal car, 2000 Tacoma, at 80 miles an hour, that thing is just vroom. This thing, it's reasonably quiet inside, and that's even in a model that's not necessarily super quiet compared to many other newer vehicles. Like top trims of this, you get laminated like acoustic glass. and then if you get into luxury cars, those only get even quieter. Something I've noticed sometimes when driving this for longer periods is I can start getting a bit uncomfortable. Now, admittedly, I don't completely adjust the seat perfectly to my liking since we don't have memory seats and I'm not the primary driver of this vehicle. I don't want to make it a pain in the butt for someone else when they want to drive. It's not fun when your lower back starts to ache a little bit after an hour and a half on the road. Also, the steering wheel. It's closer to this armrest than this armrest. So like here, I can easily just cruise with one hand, but then over here, it's a little bit more of a reach. Like, a comfortable position on this side is more like this. If you want to cruise with your left hand, it won't be as comfortable. Now, the Honda sensing package in this car, I really like that it's not too intrusive. If there's something wrong, it'll flash there, maybe give a little beep, but it doesn't disable itself, it doesn't yank you across the road. It's just gentle nudges, gentle warnings, gentle dings. And then, if you don't want to deal with it, there's buttons here where you can turn it off. No digging through 57 menus and trying to figure out how to disable it, and then it re-enables it, and then you have to go through 7 menus again. There's buttons here, and you can just turn it off. Although personally, and the owner of this vehicle have always left those systems on. And with them not being intrusive systems, that is what you should do. The systems are there to help you out, keep you safe, and even though I've driven this vehicle a pretty decent amount, I still don't have any issue getting back into my 26-year-old Toyota with nothing that helps you out, not even anti-lock brakes or stability control. No backup camera in that thing either. Now, another thing with this car that I like, highway fuel economy. It's rated 28, but I've on multiple occasions gotten over 30 miles a gallon. I think I've seen 32 out of this thing before, and for a naturally aspirated V6 in a vehicle this size, that is a good number. Like the Toyota Sienna, that's a hybrid, that's a 4-cylinder. You get, 3 or 4 better on the highway with all that stuff? But then around town, obviously this thing, as you can see, 19.3, doesn't do too well. Yeah, the owner cruising around town closer to 18, 19. I think I around town get closer to 20, which that's an okay figure. But again, getting back to the Sienna, that thing, where it shines is around town, because it also gets mid-30s around town. This thing, you're not going to get that fuel economy. Something that I like with the front of the cabin here is a lot of the materials, not all of them, but a lot of them are decent. Like, you've got a little bit of soft touch here, nice and squidgy, place to put your elbow. Soft touch here, up here. It's only this trim up here on the dash, stuff lower down, and then for some reason this little bit here, that's the scratchy hard plastic. Like, I'm satisfied with it. Maybe if that were squishy, but admittedly, I'm not sure if it is on a higher trim level. And then I'm not the biggest fan of this plastic brushed aluminum looking stuff, but I don't hate it. Now, I know I did complain earlier about some of the climate controls being in the screen, but apart from that, I like the general number of physical controls, like temperature, fan, physical, recirculator, physical, defroster, heated mirrors, heated back window defroster, buttons on the steering wheel, heated seats. All those they're buttons. Some newer vehicles have tried doing haptic buttons for this, moving all of this stuff into the screen. I'm happy to take a win where it's at. And if that means most of the stuff being physical, I'll always take over none of it being physical. So, wrapping up my thoughts on this 2019 Honda Odyssey. Overall, I like it. It's function over form. Big cavernous area, seats 8 comfortably, you can pack tons of stuff in here. It gets decent fuel economy for a vehicle this size with the drivetrain it has. We've been happy with it. Even the 9-speed transmission that people report poor things about, we haven't had any issues with it apart from maybe it doesn't shift the smoothest, but it's not anything that we've been like upset about or nervous about. Practicality is the name of the game here, and as long as you can get over the soccer mom stigmas, most families or people who, anyone really who carries a bunch of stuff or carries a bunch of people on a regular basis, minivan's the thing to get. Personally, for me, minivan is my second favorite class of vehicle, only behind wagons. I'd definitely take one of these. These earlier 5th gen Odysseys, they're getting down into the around 20,000-ish range, and I'd definitely be satisfied with this much vehicle for that price, especially considering how similar it is to the 2026 model, which those I think go for anywhere between $42,000 and $55,000. I wouldn't pay that much for a new one, but cut the price in half, take away a couple of the newest features, I'd be alright with it. All I'd say is probably avoid the 2018 Fenny vehicle, avoid the first model year of a generation, since that's when bugs show up, that's when they're figuring things out. But this 2019 or all the way up to 2026 for this generation, unless you need the fuel economy of a Sienna, it's not a bad vehicle. Pretty solid product if you can get one for around 20. And even us, I think we paid $32,000 for ours back in December 2018, and we've been happy with it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Michael from Base Motoring. Take care and drive safe.